Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this morning I was listening and watching a video on Fox News, and I'll post a link in the description box so that you could watch it for yourself. But basically, you had these people on Fox News criticizing rapper Jay-Z because during his interview with David Letterman, he talked about how Trump is a part of the ugly side of America, and how he caters to that ugly side of America, that side of racism and bigotry and narrow mindedness. Also, um, Jay Z talked about the need to deal with the problem of white male privilege, to talk about that problem. And he also talked about the need to talk about the N word. And after he made these comments, you had these people on Fox News talking about this. And from what I understand, this interview that he did with David Letterman is supposed to air on Netflix. It's either on now or it's coming on soon. I plan to check it out for myself, but I heard a little segment that's being talked about here. And you had these people on Fox News saying that Jay-Z is promoting divisiveness through his rhetoric and his interview. They talked about how he's basically being used by the Democrats to push identity politics. And then you had this African American on there basically saying, well, these Democrats promote this idea that just because somebody is white and Republican that they're racist. So they were bashing Jay-Z. They were talking about like how he's not the right person to be talking about white privilege since he's a billionaire or millionaire or whatever, since he's made it and he's successful. Somehow he can't talk about these issues. So I want to just dissect this, step by step. The first thing is when somebody calls out divisiveness and bigotry, that doesn't make them divisive and bigoted. And that's what people try to do to silence those who criticize bigotry and racism. And here you have a situation where Jay-Z is calling out the Trump administration for its bigotry. We know that this Trump administration campaigned on hatred, campaigned on xenophobia. This is a campaign that was based on bashing Mexicans, bashing Muslims, being derogatory towards African Americans and women. That's what this administration is about. Despite the rhetoric, the rhetoric alone is not even as much of a big deal as the policies. The policies that of this administration are detrimental to all of those groups that we're talking about. We're talking about immigrants, getting rid of DACA, having strict enforcement of immigration laws. And then when you look at the Muslim travel ban, and when you look at how this administration is trying to attack affirmative action using their Justice Department as a weapon against affirmative action, fighting voting rights by setting up a sham voter rights commission, not speaking out on police brutality in America, basically saying that that's some local issue, it's not the concern of the White House. And you have a White House that made it clear that they're not going to be looking to enforce any kind of consent decrees against these racist police departments around the country. So that's what you have in the Trump administration, a divisive administration, an administration that has brought dishonor to the White House, an administration that has brought disrespect to the White House, an administration that is a disgrace, a national embarrassment. And just because Jay-Z calls that out, that doesn't make Jay-Z the one that's divisive. The one who is really divisive is Donald Trump. And Fox News knows this. In fact, Fox News is divisive itself. All Fox News is about is race baiting and dividing people along racial lines. And what they do is they get these stupid, fetid house Negroes and parade them out on their programs to use them as weapons against their own people to bash a Jay-Z and bash any black person that's talking about the wrong that this Trump administration is doing. So that's what I have to say about that. And then, with respect to Jay-Z, it's like these people that are criticizing Jay-Z now because he's change his perspective because he is now a little bit more political and he's talking about things that are more relevant to most people. All of a sudden, these people have a problem with him. They didn't have a problem with him when he was talking about big pimping. They didn't have a problem with him when he was talking about selling crack to his own people. They didn't have a problem with him when he was bragging about violence in the black community. They had no problem with any of that stuff. They had no problem with his materialism and all that kind of stuff. But when this black man starts to speak out on racism in this country and divisiveness and bigotry and all that kind of stuff, all of a sudden these people got a problem with him. They don't have a problem when you play the role of the coon, when you play the role of the Geechee. They love that stuff. They love the minstrel. But when you become a man and you speak out on the issues that matter to your people, all of a sudden they got a problem with you. And they want to talk about identity politics. And the fact of the matter is, the Republican Party is based on appealing to the worst elements in society. They are appealing to white identity. That's what they appeal to, while they criticize the Democrats for identity politics. They are the white identity extremists. All we have to do is look at the Southern strategy of the Republican Party, a strategy designed to deliberately appeal to the racist elements in the South. It is no coincidence that you have a rise of a David Duke in the Republican Party. It's no coincidence that the other day near Chicago, you had a Republican win the nomination, a Republican who was a Nazi, a Republican who is openly racist and a Holocaust denier. These are not accidents. It's not an accident that you have a Republican Party that appeals to the alt-right, that appeals to these bigots and racists, these hate mongers, those hate mongers in Charlottesville, for instance, inspired by Donald Trump. All these people are Donald Trump supporters, Donald Trump fanatics, and that's no mistake. It's no mistake that you had a Donald Trump endorsed by the KKK and David Duke and the alt-right. They celebrated his election with Nazi salutes. So while you criticize a man for speaking out, you really need to criticize the Trump administration for its open pandering to bigots and racists. So those are my thoughts. Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.